Okay, so you've got this amazing idea, right? Every entrepreneur, every innovator, really anyone trying to build something new, faces this same fundamental challenge.
Yeah, how do you actually bring it to life,
Yeah.
quickly, effectively?
Exactly. Without betting the farm on something nobody's actually seen or used yet. It's that launch moment. It's exciting, but honestly terrifying too.
And that's really where the minimum viable product, the MVP,
Yeah.
comes in, or at least that's the idea behind it.
Right.
Its whole purpose is to let you test that core product idea with real people, actual users.
Get that feedback.
Get the feedback, make the tweaks you need to make without this huge upfront investment that, let's face it, sinks a lot of new ventures.
It's supposed to be about smart validation, calculated risk.
That's the promise, and it's a good one.
It is. But, even though MVPs are pretty well known now, we still see so many great ideas just fizzle out.
Oh, absolutely. Teams put in all this effort, time, money, passion.
And somehow miss the mark. So what are those critical mistakes, the ones that turn that smart MVP strategy into, well, just another way to waste resources?
That's what we want to dig into today. This is kind of your shortcut, really, through those common pitfalls.
We've been diving into some really insightful analysis, especially looking at an article called Common Mistakes in MVP Development and How to Avoid Them.
Yeah, it does a great job of breaking down these core errors and not just what goes wrong, but how to actually sidestep them.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Because, look, if you're trying to build something really impactful,
Mhm.
understanding these mistakes, it's like getting a cheat sheet.
It genuinely is. It can save you so much heartache, so much wasted effort.
And really boost your chances of actually succeeding, building smarter, right from the very start.
Exactly.
So let's dive into the first one. This one feels like it's almost seductive, maybe.
Yeah.
The temptation to just pack too many features into that first MVP.
Oh, yeah. Feature creep.
You're just so excited about everything it could be.
You lose sight of what it absolutely must be right now.
Yeah.
And it's deadly because it totally undermines the minimum part of MVP.
Right.
When you cram too much in, your focus gets diluted. The whole point of that first version is to test your main hypothesis, right?
Yeah.
That one core problem you think you're solving.
With the absolute fewest features needed to do that test.
Precisely. Every extra feature just adds development time, it adds cost, complexity. It slows down your launch.
And makes it harder to get clear feedback on that one thing.
Yeah, you lose that agility, that ability to react quickly.
So it's not just time and money, it actually confuses the results you're trying to get. How do you fight that urge, that just one more feature thing?
Well, some people call it the elimination game. It's tough, but imagine you absolutely had to launch tomorrow. What's the one non-negotiable feature?
Okay, the absolute core.
Then maybe. What's the second?
Yeah.
You work backwards from necessity. Focus relentlessly on that core function. The one or two things that directly tackle your audience's main problem.
And make sure those work really well.
Exceptionally well. The mantra is build, test, learn, repeat. But you got to remember, each build has to be the leanest possible thing to test your next big assumption.
So a series of small, focused experiments, not one big reveal.
Exactly. Not the grand unveiling of everything you've ever dreamed of.
And for you, the listener, thinking about this, every feature you deliberately choose not to build right now,
that translates directly into speed, into cost savings.
Letting you prove that core concept without going all in financially. It's strategic patience, almost.
Restraint, yeah.
Okay, so focusing on the minimum is vital. But that minimum has to actually be what your users need, right? Which I guess brings us straight to the next big misstep.
Oh, yeah. Overlooking your audience. Building in a vacuum.
Assuming you know what they want without really asking.
It's a foundational mistake. And it happens all the time. It's kind of shocking.
Really?
If you don't have a super clear picture of who you're building for, you're basically just guessing. And your product probably won't connect.
It won't resonate.
Right. And the issue isn't just making assumptions. It's the gap between what people say they want and what they'll actually do. Their behavior.
Ah, okay. Stated interest versus actual use.
Exactly. People might tell you in a survey, oh yeah, I'd use that. But their actions, often quite different.
So building on those untested assumptions.
Almost always leads to poor adoption. Negative feedback. It can really jeopardize the whole project.
It's like building that amazing restaurant in the middle of nowhere. Great food, no customers. How do we avoid that? Because everyone thinks they know their users.
You absolutely have to define that target audience before you start building. Really define them.
Not just demographics.
No, much deeper.
Yeah.
Sure, market research helps. But you need to do actual interviews. Talk to people.
Observe them.
Yes. Watch how they currently solve the problem. Understand their routines, their real frustrations, their deep needs. Then you tailor the MVP to solve those specific problems.
That makes sense.
You know, what's really fascinating,
Yeah. But because.
because it's designed for the wrong people,
Yeah.
or it solved a problem that wasn't really painful enough for anyone.
So that deep empathy, that understanding becomes your guide.
Your North Star, exactly.
Okay, so understanding the user is key. And that naturally flows into how the product looks and feels, which hits our third challenge, the design trap.
Yes. Aesthetics versus function.
That tricky balance, especially early on, how pretty does it need to be versus how well does it need to work?
It's a real tension. Because, look, long-term, design absolutely matters for user experience. We all know that.
Right.
But getting too caught up in perfecting the visuals in the MVP phase, that can be a really expensive mistake.
Why is that?
Because an MVP, its core nature, should prioritize function over flash. Your early adopters, those crucial first users,
They care more if it works.
way more. They're much more concerned with how well it solves their problem than how polished or beautiful it looks initially. They're looking for a solution, not, a piece of art.
I can see how easy it would be to get lost in the pixels, though. Especially if you have a design background or just a strong visual sense. What's the real cost there?
The cost is time and diverted resources. Every hour, every dollar spent on pixel-perfect design early on.
It's an hour or dollar not spent on building the core value.
Exactly. And it delays your launch. So the solution is aim for functional and simple. Think ugly but effective.
Okay, get the job done.
Make sure it's easy enough to use, solves that core problem efficiently, but don't get caught up trying to make it perfect visually.
Not yet.
Not yet. That feedback you get from the early users, that's what tells you which design improvements actually matter down the line.
Build the solid foundation first.
Then you decorate the house once you know people actually want to live in it.
That's a great analogy. And for you listening, this really is about saving time and money. Prioritize what truly matters at the start, getting that core function right. Aesthetics can wait a bit.
It can evolve.
Okay, and this focus on getting something functional out there leads right into our next point, which kind of feels like the opposite problem. The delay of discovery. Failing to test and iterate early enough.
Yeah, this one seems counterintuitive to the whole MVP idea, doesn't it?
It does. The whole point is dynamism, iteration.
Absolutely. That's the promise, right? Test in the real world. Learn, iterate quickly. But so many founders, so many teams, they make the mistake of not testing early enough.
Or maybe they test but don't react fast enough.
That too. Equally damaging. They wait for it to be more complete, more polished.
What's the risk there? I mean, isn't there a natural fear of launching something that feels unfinished?
Oh, definitely. That fear is real. But the risk of holding back is actually much, much greater.
How so?
If you wait too long to test, you might find out way too late that you built the wrong thing, or that users just don't engage the way you thought they would.
And by then, you've spent
A ton of resources. And crucially, lost valuable time. You want to find those big flaws when they're still cheap and easy to fix.
So the solution is brace yourself and launch.
Launch your MVP as soon as it's genuinely viable, as soon as possible, really. Get it out there to start gathering that real-world feedback.
Even if it's a bit rough.
Even if it has bugs, rough edges, and trust me, it probably will. Get it in front of users. Collect their thoughts, watch their behavior, then iterate. Make improvements quickly based on what you learn.
Keep testing.
Continuously test. Make sure you're always steering in the right direction, not just polishing something nobody actually needs.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. That word viable in MVP. It's not just, does it technically work?
No, is it viable for learning?
Right. Can you put it out there and get actionable insights back? Can you adapt?
That speed to market is important, sure. But speed to learning, that's everything.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Talk about market perception, our fifth mistake. Market misjudgment. That classic entrepreneurial optimism.
Yep. Admirable, but sometimes dangerous.
How so?
Well, entrepreneurs naturally believe in their idea. They often assume the demand for their amazing new product is going to be huge right from the start.
And they might build their MVP based on that assumption.
Exactly. They might invest too much, build too much, based on overestimating that initial interest, or just not properly validating their core assumptions about demand.
It's that difference, again, between what you think people need and what they'll actually clamor for.
Crucial distinction. What happens when that optimism isn't grounded?
What are the consequences?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. Overestimating demand leads to disappointment. And again, wasted resources.
If the users just don't show up in the numbers you expected.
Right. Maybe the market isn't as big or isn't as ready as you thought. It becomes incredibly hard to justify pouring more money into it.
So how do you get a realistic read before you build?
You need to use market validation techniques before you even commit serious resources to the MVP build.
Like what?
Simple things, often. A basic landing page explaining the concept, asking for email signups, targeted surveys, maybe even running some small-scale ads to gauge click-through rates and interest.
Collect actual data on interest before coding?
Yes. Test the demand early. You avoid building something magnificent that ultimately nobody actually wants to use.
Yeah.
Maybe start with a tiny pilot launch to test traction.
Get real data. See if there's enough pull.
Exactly. Validating that demand early. It can literally save your venture.
That's huge. Proving the need before perfecting the solution really hammers home that pre-MVP work.
Absolutely critical.
Now, let's look a bit further down the road. Mistake number 6. The scaling blind spot. Not thinking about scalability early on.
Yeah, this feels a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it? You're just trying to get this thing off the ground.
Why worry about massive growth yet?
It might seem distant, but it's really important. While, yes, the MVP focus is that functional prototype,
You still need to consider what happens if it works.
you absolutely should think about how it will scale if it's successful. Because if you don't, you can run into major problems later. Problems you want to have because they mean you're growing, but
Problems nonetheless. What kind of issues? Like how bad can it get if you suddenly take off and weren't ready?
pretty bad. If your MVP gets traction and it wasn't built with scaling in mind at all, you could see serious performance issues, lots more bugs creeping in,
Or the whole thing just crashes.
even complete service outages. Imagine going viral. Everyone's talking about you, and nobody can access your product because the infrastructure just crumbles.
Oh, nightmare scenario.
And then trying to fix that, to scale something that wasn't designed for it, it's often incredibly costly, very time-consuming, sometimes requires a total rebuild.
So what's the balance? You don't want to over-engineer the MVP.
No, definitely not. The solution isn't over-engineering. It's building with future growth in mind, making smart choices early.
Like choosing the right technology.
Yeah, pick a tech stack that has the potential to handle more demand later. Make sure your basic infrastructure can be scaled up relatively easily when you need it.
Foresight.
Just a bit of foresight. It can save you an enormous amount of pain if things go well.
That's super practical advice for listeners. Plan for success. Make smart choices now that don't box you in later. Don't create massive roadblocks for your future self.
Exactly.
Okay, number 7 brings us right back to the user. And this feels like it should be obvious, but the echo chamber effect. Neglecting user feedback.
It sounds obvious, doesn't it? But it's a huge trap.
Yeah.
User feedback isn't just nice to have for an MVP.
It's the whole point.
It's utterly critical. It's the learning part of build, test, learn.
Yeah.
But many founders, they either don't gather enough feedback
Or maybe word.
or they gather it but don't really listen. They hear what confirms what they already believe.
Confirmation bias.
Big time. They
Yeah.
filter out the challenging stuff.
What happens when you ignore those voices? Especially those early users who are giving you their time. And how do you handle conflicting feedback? That's tricky too.
Well, ignoring feedback basically guarantees your product won't meet the market's actual needs. Users might be interested at first, but if they see their feedback going into a black hole,
They lose interest. They leave.
they churn. And for conflicting feedback, you need clear criteria. Who is your absolute target user for this specific MVP? What's the core problem right now?
Filter based on strategy.
Prioritize feedback that aligns with that core mission. And don't just take feedback at face value, ask why. Dig deeper.
Understand the motivation.
Make feedback central, non-negotiable. Talk to users regularly, ask for their thoughts, prioritize changes based on what you're hearing and seeing. Use testing, surveys, analytics.
All the tools.
The goal has to be building the product your users actually want and need, not just the product you think is brilliant.
So your users are basically co-creating with you. You just have to listen.
If you let them, yes.
Okay, last one. Number 8. Let's talk about the testing process itself. The mistake here is testing too terribly, or rather, maybe overcomplicating it.
Yeah, good intentions gone wrong, maybe. MVP testing should be lean, focused, straightforward.
Focused on validating those core assumptions.
Exactly. But sometimes people make it way too complex. They try to test too many things at once or use really elaborate methods.
And the risk there is.
Confusion, overwhelm. You end up with noisy data, and it's hard to tell what actually caused what. You make feedback collection really inefficient.
So in trying to be super thorough, you actually end up losing the signal in the noise.
Precisely. You lose those clear, actionable insights that are supposed to guide the next step.
So what's the smarter way? How do you keep testing lean but effective?
Keep it simple. Advocate for simple testing methods that give you clear answers. Basic A/B testing is great. Compare one specific change at a time.
Qualitative feedback.
Absolutely. Talk to users directly. Open-ended conversations give you the why behind the numbers. And track just the essential user behaviors with simple analytics.
Don't drown in data.
Keep the testing process as simple as possible so you can stay focused on getting truly actionable feedback. And this brings up a really important question for you, the entrepreneur.
Which is?
Are you setting up tests to confirm what you already believe? Or are you setting them up to genuinely learn, even if the answers surprise you or, frankly, aren't what you hoped for?
Confirmation versus learning. That's key.
The simpler approach often leads to more honest, clearer answers.
Wow. That really hits home. It's about intellectual honesty in the process.
It has to be.
Well, this has been incredibly illuminating, a real deep dive into the pitfalls of MVP development. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
But I think the core message running through all of this is pretty clear, isn't it? Avoiding these common mistakes, from feature stuffing right through to ignoring feedback or overcomplicating tests it's just crucial if you want a successful launch.
Absolutely. It boils down to building something functional, yes, but something that's built strategically, optimized for learning, for growth.
And delivering real, actual, validated value to users.
That's the goal. And maybe, as you, our listener, think about your own projects, your own ideas. Here's a final thought to chew on.
Okay.
Consider this. What is the absolute smallest thing you could possibly build right now to validate your next big idea? Just the tiniest test. And what's the single most critical assumption that little test would be validating?
Start there.
Start there. Learn fast.
Yeah.
And keep iterating. That's the true, enduring power of doing MVPs right.